Hey guys, today I'm bringing you a video not so much about one of the greatest tanks in the game, but definitely one of the prettiest. With this camo, I absolutely adore this tank. And it's a lovely thing to have. It's not necessarily better than the Object 140 or the T62A, which is of course, this is how you play the T62A, obviously, isn't it? But the 121B you actually play a little differently. It is a tank that, like I said, it is a great tank. It is not necessarily OP. It can get hurt quite badly, as you just saw. But overall, it's a nice little mixture of the T62A and the 140, in my opinion. And I quite like it. But I like driving it more than the T62A and the Object 140. Because it's just so pretty. It does not have the gun depression to work a position like this, though. That is why I'm actually taking a lot of risks just peeking out, and I'm actually wanting to get unspotted so I can get the shots in. But the DS is not looking at me, so at this point I can actually make the shot. And then there's a guy behind us, he gets murdered, and I'm just turning up on front again. I should have really changed position because, like I said, this is not really a position that works very well for this tank. At the same time, I love using this position as a whole because it's quite troll, and with the pulling back it is very likely that you bounce shots, and that is generally something that I quite like. So in this case I'm actually preferring the position, even though my tank is not really a tank that can work it all that well. I'm mostly lucky to be bouncing these shots because as much as I love this tank, it is not that strong. It can be troll though, and that is basically what this replay, what this gameplay actually shows. But when the enemy team consists of unidums rather than unicorns, it makes it quite easy to work this position even when it's not really your forte. And I do take a shot there, but now I'm just waiting for my team to do something to the E5 so that I can use it again. And as he loses more and more HP and my team pushes forward, the E50 at the back is actually not paying attention to me, which allows me to get a free shot into him. E5 is almost dead. I'm not the primary target, and that is basically what I love. This is the way that I like playing tanks in general, not just in this tank. I like being in a position where I'm just not the primary target and can basically do the damage from relative safety. Now there's only two guys left. One of them is over there, the other one is over there. We know where they are. I have plenty of health left, so I'm not really going to be careful. And at this time I'm hesitant to decide whether I'm just going to push forwards and get that shot in, which I do, or whether I wanted to go down. But the last guy is killed. We did okay. I didn't do that bad, I didn't do that great. But that is why this is only a first class, but I got a nice little bit of spotting damage, and overall this is what I like about this tank. It definitely has the potential to do great things. And just look at it, especially with this camo. I absolutely love the look of this tank. It is so handsome. And that's basically my whole sole reason for loving this tank. It's not a bad tank by all means, but just the way that it looks is just lovely. And I'm skipping through this battle quite fast, mainly because I wasn't shooting anyone. And at that stage I always find that when you make a review-ish video about a tank, it is quite useless to show the gameplay where nothing actually happens in like the realistic speed of it. Now again, I don't have the gun depression to work that spot, so I'm actually going to go around the hill with all risk there, because there's a T30 there and he can do big booms, so I want to be careful with that and see if I can get a shot into him. But as he just fired, that means that I can very safely shoot him, and the only reason I pull back is because of the waffle behind it. But I can easily reload and shoot him again before he's actually reloaded and can punish me for it. And this is again where I'm just not the primary target and I'm letting my team be the primary target. He dies for it, but I'm fine with that as long as I don't die, because it means that I can do more. And this is what I mean. You can always use your team. My last video about the epic assist was about that too. You can use your team. Either bait the enemy into the line of fire, or just basically use your team as cannon fodder. Now in this case, He's lost quite a bit of HP. He reloads a lot faster than I do. So we have a corpse here, and I tend to use it because I can shoot him in the face. And that will be a lot harder for him to do with me. So I want to use the corpse between us to basically get the shots in without losing too much HP myself. I bounce actually a shot on my ass there, which is something I quite enjoy as well. And then I just want to get the heck out of there because I don't want to get shot again. And I just push forwards. We are down a base, which is tricky, but we are also up a few guns, which is good. So basically we can just take care of this AMX before we start thinking about the bases. And with the guy that is right there next to me, we're basically double tapping this guy, and that is something that is going to work really well. Now this guy, he is potentially reloaded, which he is because he's shooting me. But I do kill him before he can kill me, and now we have a full health IS-7 here. And that's not something I'm very keen about, but he's not actually in a position to shoot me, which makes it very nice for me, because again, I won't be the primary target when I move to him. And that means that I could potentially get some shots in, especially when he's showing me his rear and gives me a nice little high roll. But the battle is already ended before we can kill him, because we have the amount of supremacy points we needed to win. And I was quite happy with that ace because it didn't really feel like an ace game. And those are the aces that I'm both happy and sad about, because an ace game should always leave you with this I'm shaking epic kind of feeling. Now this guy is making it rather easy. I mean, he bounces on me, which makes it even better. But he basically gives me my first shot of damage for free. This is basically why I go in sniper mode that early in the game already. Because it basically gives me a free shot of damage when I spot someone. Because by the time I shoot them, they still have to look at me, go to sniper mode, start aiming and then shoot. Or they have a much better chance of bouncing and missing me if they don't sniper mode at all. Now, one thing to remember here is that this was actually a countdown battle within our clan. So Jim saying this basically is calling Darren what Darren calls everyone all the time. I'm not excusing it because it's still a no-no, but then you understand the concept a little better. But if you weren't lucky, that was definitely lucky. So I know that there's someone at the back there, and I'm actually hesitant to go anyway, because the position where I was in, I couldn't work anymore. And with known players that were there with me on voice, I know I need to be careful about what I'm gonna do. So in this case, I decide to be troll, and I'm gonna go to a place where I can basically cap a base in peace and potentially get shots in, because there are targets in the desert that I can potentially shoot. Especially, well, I don't like being set on fire, but the way that that guy is positioning himself makes it rather easy for me. Now, this guy seems to be going straight on YOLO at me, so I'm turning around, using the rock as cover, staying behind the rock as cover, and then just shoot him. I don't mind if he shoots me once or twice, because he doesn't have the HP to actually survive me. At the same time, with him bouncing twice, that's actually very nice, and I still have to be careful to use the rock as cover. Which of course I'm not doing that effectively when I got shot, but all the same, that is something that you need map awareness for overall. You need to be aware where your cover you're around. And for me, I try never to shoot without sniper mode, because it makes my shot a lot more effective and a lot less likely to bounce. So in this case, this guy is coming up. I want to be careful, but I want him out of the way straight off. I actually feel that, but I go back to my rock and then just see if I can peek out again to murder him without too much damage to myself, because I'm starting to lose a little bit of health and I'm starting to run out of health, and I really want to keep it. The enemy has 3 people there. We know that there are 4 people there. We know that there are 5 enemies in total, so one of them is still back in their base most likely. But if he's in their corner, he's unlikely to be able to shoot me, and I can use this rock, and there he is. I can use this rock to basically make my position a bit more secure. We have 7 versus 4, so we have a big advantage. We have a base and they have none. And with the people in the desert basically starting to take care of everything there, I decide that I shouldn't really be lingering here, because I don't have any shots. I'm all for using a position that you have to try and get the damage in, but when you don't have any shots, you need to move. In this case, I know where their camping TD is, and I know that I can probably take him out. He can't one-shot me unless he gets an ammo rack. So as long as I can basically rush him and get behind him straight away, we should be good. At the same time, if I spot him here, I have plenty of cover, and I have teammates in the desert to take care of him. So I'm actually spotting a little bit careful here, get that first shot in, and you immediately see that he's now starting to move, and he's actually getting shot quite badly, and he's on the brink of being murdered. But that's assisted damage that will count for me, so that's definitely helpful for me as well. And that's the kind of thing that I like, using a spot like that to basically make your team do what needs to be done, rather than you doing it yourself. So with only one guy left, I head towards him, even though I have a feeling that he'll be gone before I get there. But as I drive closer and closer, it seems like our teammate has actually been blocking shots from our team, and I managed to basically steal the kill, which is quite lovely, especially since it's Darren, which makes it all the more fun to kill him. Now, I'm always a fan of getting aces, but getting aces during a countdown event with a lot of people that I know and that are great at the game in the actual battle makes me actually very, very happy. But this is definitely an ace that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't kept that base, if I hadn't basically been that forwards and get a little bit of spotting damage and everything. So now for the last battle, we are on Normandy, a map that I actually really like because it's one of the bigger maps. I start of course by capping a base. This is basically my main reason for acing tanks. I cap bases, but the thing is that if you cap the bases, regardless of whether you do the damage or not, you will put pressure on the enemy, and that is something that is very, very useful. Now this guy just shot, and I can safely shoot him. He's attempting to cap the base, and he has a teammate there with him, but I'm actually using this this position to not get shot by his teammates while getting some shots in. The waffle there is in the position where I can just not shoot him, but that waffle there is. So that is a nice little HE shot. He then goes behind the building. I do have to be careful because you see in the minimap the position of the enemy and the way that they're around us basically. So I go after the Batchat first because that is the guy that is closest to me now. I track him, which is actually very, very useless, and whereas he lands a shot, I decide to just go after him, get that shot in. He shoots me back, and that's very rude, and I wait to reload when he misses and I just murder him. But then we have a waffle that is going a bit YOLO, getting himself stuck on the rock like that, and I actually activate my adrenaline to get some shots into him. Derp it, because I'm hitting his tracks rather than himself, but before he can actually shoot him, I've reloaded and I actually murder him. And to be fair, basically this game so far has been how to YOLO effectively, because our team has lost 2 guns, the enemy team has lost 3 guns, I'm responsible for 2 of them to be gone. But the way that I did that, I shouldn't have been able to do that. I should have been shot in the rear or anywhere else really while I was going after the Batchat, so I got lucky there. But that's the kind of thing that I like. I like not having to be that careful. I don't mind if sometimes I lose because I YOLO, because at the end of the day this is a game and I really enjoy it. Now that mouse, I only track him. I decide not to bother with him because that's the thing. You can either decide to take out the most armored tank straight off, or you can decide to take him out last. He gets murdered, so that's fine. That's 1 more gun out of the way. Only 3 enemies left, and we know that the mouse is very slow, so it will take him forever to basically get back up. So I'm not going to be bothering with that. I'm just going to be pushing here, see if we can take out these 2. Well, the last one is the mouse, of course. But now with him arriving there, he's actually just shot and he's showing me his sight, so that means I can get some shots in. I'm 3k into it, I activate my adrenaline, basically stay behind him. I am not the primary target again. So now he's trying to turn maybe to angle against me, but I still have teammates. We are 3.7k into it. I'm not really bothered at this point because he's angling but not towards me, which means that I have relatively easy shots. I don't even have to shoot heat into his turret, even though of course saying that I bounce. And then I do switch to heat because I'm really not a fan of bouncing. But he gets killed before I can actually kill him off. And basically with only 2 kills I did like 4k damage, got a nice bounce of supremacy points again. And that's basically the way I play this tank. I try to be forwards, I try not to be the primary target. And I actually ended with this first class rather than an ace because I enjoyed this battle the most. So in a nutshell, don't be primary target and supremacy helps. Now I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I'll be seeing you guys the next time again.